Hello and welcome to Flashback Generations.
Hiya.
Today Pete and I are going to be talking a game that we absolutely love. It's Kingdom Death by Adam Poots. This video is intended mainly for people who haven't bought it, are afraid of the price tag and are wondering what on earth is actually inside this.
This black box of doom.
So, I mean, because I know when I was actually looking for this initially, I literally there's no information.
You started raving about it, never really heard of it. It's kind of a cult thing, isn't it, really?
So,
so
we're going to try and tackle this in bite-sized pieces for you to decide, is this a game that you too could love? Without any spoilers or anything like that, we're just gonna
spoiler free.
We're just gonna literally unbox it and walk you through the game and the phases and what to expect. Okay, so let's talk about the contents.
Right.
As you can see here, there is an awful lot, as you'd expect. I know that most people have spent in the region of £200 plus, so we'll just go through everything that you get with this game. We're starting on the rule book here. As you can see, it's actually quite a chunky rule book.
Oh, it's huge.
There's a lot of pages that are really, 250 pages or something. There's tables galore in it and stuff.
Really lovely artwork throughout as well.
Yeah, it's kind of a horror anime style to it, but that kind of comes through the whole game. Next up, we get these character sheets. You get a load of these. They're just to tell you, Peter and how he does in his adventure.
Yeah.
You get these tiles here that they actually
gear grid. Yeah.
Gear grid. So when this tells you what your character is bringing into the fight.
It's got the slots for the equipment.
Yeah. Essential. Basically, there's 4 of them for your 4 people. Next we get. These are the phases.
Time track. Yeah, phases. So one side's kind of settlement. And the other side is
the hunt.
The hunt, which I've got upside down then.
So yeah, but anyway, we'll go into that in detail in a bit for you.
Double-sided.
Next, you get the miniatures. Oh, the miniatures. Okay, I'm going to point out these are not actually painted and built when you get them. They'll all be grey. You can see that they're
resin,
beautiful. They're really, really nice, high quality. They've got annoying mold lines to a large degree,
miniatures do.
But they look fantastic and they're all interchangeable. So everyone's miniatures will be totally different because
as a casual bystander, these miniatures are a step beyond anything I've ever seen in any other game, really.
Yes. Oh, they're very creative. They're just amazing.
They are like artworks, really. Each one's a miniature artwork, really.
Yeah, I always glue them together. I think this is my favourite. Yeah. Okay, let's go on. The next thing we get is the settlement sheet. So this records what's going on between games.
Yeah, that's double-sided.
Double-sided because you need tons of information. In fact, you need more information than that, which is a bit of a shame. But at the same time,
yeah, there's always blank paper.
You make do. The next we got the monster grid. So this here is what the monster is doing. So, for instance, his wounds, what characteristics he has up. We'll go into a bit of detail on that in a minute. And here is the map. So the map itself.
Where's the board, yeah? The
board, yeah. This is that you're fighting. The monster will always begin in that centre spot, and you're basically all going to come on here and try and fight him. That's in the showdown phase. Right. Now let's jump across to the box. So here is, straight away, you get an impression that there's a lot of stuff in here.
Well, no, the tray as well. That's really, really handy and not something you get very often.
Yeah, they've actually done a tray for you.
An organiser built in.
Really good. So I'm going to start up this side, which you can see there's a white lion card there. So all of these things here are, they're all the bad guys. So yeah, they've got a lot of different cards. We'll go into detail with what's the difference and what they're all for in a minute.
So that stack depicts the white lion.
Yeah,
all
so
the monsters.
You can see all the monsters are there. Next up, we get the disorders, then strange resources, basic resources, terrain, hunt events, vermin, weapon proficiencies, innovations, armor sets, fighting arts, and secret fighting arts. So these are all cards that are relating to your character and how they all upgrade.
There are hundreds of cards.
There's a lot of stuff, and you know what? Every upgrade you get, every expansion box, is another ton of these cards. So I've got a load upstairs, but Let's go into the counters and stuff. So you can see there's a load of wound counters there.
Yeah.
These basically take fire. Some of the guys, you have to wound them twice before he does whatever. Or actually, in fact, they go on people as well.
Yeah.
You can take 5 wounds and then you die. There's a load of counters here. So
+1, -1, this, that, and the other.
Yeah, this is like if you get stats and you get hurt or you get enraged, then you get all these bonuses.
You get maybe +1 damage for the duration of a battle or whatever.
Yeah.
Loads of them.
Next up, lanterns.
I don't know what they're for. I'm not seeing.
We haven't actually come across them yet. I'm sure that some kind viewer will probably come and tell us. These are just the +1, -1. These are more of the same thing. You can ignore all of them. They're all the same thing. Back down with dice. These are magnificent.
Cool.
They're
D8.
D10s.
D10, sorry.
Yeah. So they got a lantern there, and they're D10, and they're special. But let's look at the D6s. What do they do?
They are body locations.
Body locations. When the monsters hit you, they hit you on these locations. So it's not up to you where you get hit.
That's the body, but isn't it? Body, hand, arm, head, waist,
and waist,
legs, so on. So a few of those.
Yeah, and then we have these are settlement.
Settlement locations that you can build. They're basically your shops, aren't they? If you like.
You're doing an RPG style, so you're building all these things that you can actually, get all that stuff together.
The armor man, the blacksmith, etc., etc. You've got settlement events. I'm not going to turn any of these over.
This is the fun in the settlement phase. This is when you find out someone's a lunatic and has killed loads of people, or someone's howling and this has happened. But
crazy events.
Crazy stuff, and people get bonuses and stuff, or die. Loads of terrain there. Those pens are bought. I would thoroughly recommend pencils with erasers on the top.
Yeah, so here we've got my favourite terrain piece, which is the long grass. That goes down on the map over there. You can hide in the long grass during a battle, and so on and so on. Pillars, crumble, that's an old corpse, isn't it, that you can search?
Yeah, you
Stuff
search
like
it,
that.
but you search them and like good and bad things can happen, so you could find something really good, or it could be a mouse that's bitten you, which probably has rabies and kills you later on, but And then the last but not least is the gear grid. So these are all these are your weapons. So that gear grid we saw earlier, you get these and you can have up to 9 of them on a person. So you have shields and you have body armor, swords. You get all your stuff here.
Loads of.
It's a really nice. The sorting system they've supplied with the game is great too. So you can see that they've actually done a what are they called? A tab system.
Yeah.
So
dividers.
The dividers, they actually supply them. And it's really easy to just go and play the game fluidly.
Your expansions continue with that, don't they? So
yes, they do.
I've covered up the spoiler.
Well, it's lovely. So what we'd be doing in the game is half the tray we'd say is items we haven't found yet, and half of it is what's available for the team.
Yeah.
So this whole tray works like that, and it's really nice. So I think we're ready to go on and talk about the actual first phase. Let's talk about the combat phase. We're not actually going to show a proper showdown here because there's loads of videos on YouTube. Adam Poots does a showdown himself, and it's a very good video. There's some, I think Gen Con does one, and that's where I watch it. And I also thought they were really good, and it's a really good example. They're about 40 minutes long, so we're not going to spend that long, but we'll just fly through this quite quickly. So when you're in the showdown phase, which is the way this game starts, but it's not the way the game typically runs. Usually you'll run from the hunt phase, showdown, and then settlement phase. And at the end of the settlement phase, you should be,
setting off for your next.
That's when you give up for the night.
Yeah.
Or play again. But the way the game starts, it actually does throw you into a showdown to try and really entice you into the actual lore of the game, because you'll wake up in a dark place and
nobody knows who they are, nobody can speak. It's awesome.
It's a very dark, grim,
nightmarish.
It gives 40k a grimness to look at. Anyway, so what will happen is every monster will have its own description of how they actually deploy. This is all in the rule book. So each monster will have its own specific way. In this
Most
case,
I've seen so far start kind of in the middle.
They'll all start. I think they all start in the middle.
Yeah.
Some of them have these special tiles that will come on. these terrain pieces, this long grass. This is just something that at the start of the game it'll always be like you have to put the long grass on and you have to put this on.
Yeah, preset terrain, isn't
and
it?
then it's like put random ones on too. So in this case we put the long grass on top of pillar just to show you all the terrain has its own effects. The grass, he's harder to hit you in the grass, he can hide in it. The pillar, he can't see past it. He can crash into it, and at the same time we can't hop over it. So terrain is generally an advantage for the people.
Yeah.
And it strangely you'd think that it would have a bigger impact, or rather it's a cheat from people, but you don't really get to spend that much time in the terrain the way the bad guys are stacked. So the order of play is that it goes monster's turn first, unless you ambush the monster, in which case you go first.
You can get the jump on the monster sometimes,
or the monster can get the jump on you, in which case he goes twice. But what will normally happen is the monster has some basic actions. So we have the lion here, who is the basic enemy. As everyone actually always shows the lion as the first one to fight, but so you can see he's got basic stats like movement 6 and toughness 6. The toughness, the movement means that's how many squares he can move. The movement in this game is all in straight lines.
No diagonals.
No diagonals, so nice and easy like that. Line of sight is pretty much, you can all see through each other, you can shoot through each other. There's no line of sight, really. It's kind of a bit loose, even the pillar, so he can see her at the moment because of that. So it's a sort
he has fields of view, doesn't he? Fields of view. The generic monster can see everywhere apart from the 2 squares directly behind
That's
him.
a blind spot, but different monsters have different blind spots too. The giant spider, you go underneath them to actually, and you hit him up, so you can't see there. But most of them, you'll have someone in the back. You get a bonus for attacking in the back. It's not always good to attack them in the back. Sometimes they get enraged, or
they might have a kickback attack or whatever.
The antelope tries to really hurt people behind it. So it's not always good. But that's the typical place you're trying to get to. There's different levels of these creatures as well.
Is there 1, 2, 3? Yeah.
1, 2, and 3, and there's usually a legendary one as well, which will have a sort of different effect. In fact,
I've not seen one of them yet.
I believe they're bringing out different versions. Oh, I should point out that we've played the campaign through 3 times, and we can't get past year 7, 8.
7 is it's tough as hell.
This game is not for the light-hearted and people who
or the nervous of disposition.
This game will punish you at the best of times.
Yeah, it's incredibly harsh by the standards of any other game I've seen.
It wants to beat you, and it just keeps getting harder with everything that you throw into it. But not in a bad way. It's a challenging game and it's a rewarding game, and you're all working together at the same purpose to beat this lion. So what will happen is you can see that the lion will have his he has his own AI deck here. So what you'd do is you'd reveal the first. This is what the lion's action would be.
Start of the lion's turn. Yeah.
Oh, he's got a vicious claw. So it tells you then in order what he's going to do. In this case, he's going to pick a target, which is a random survivor.
There's a massive part of the game.
In range.
The very important concept in this game is you pick one of these up and you go down it in order. It's almost like a software program we've commented on. So you first pick target, and there's rules for picking a target. So random survivor in range. In range means can he get there?
Range is anywhere as well, so it's a random survivor.
Yeah, in any direction. Can he make it there? If he can't, then you do the next option, which is an action called sniff, which we won't go into right now. He sniffs around for a new target. Then, after he's picked his target, he'll move to the next step. Now, this little thing here is a chance for the players to interrupt with any interrupt actions they may have. Generally, then what he'll do is he'll move an attack target. There's a stat line for his attack, so he's got 2 dice, so on and so on. How much damage he's going to do, and there's a little keyword here after damage. So after if he successfully damages somebody with this attack, then you trigger the after damage, which is a bleed effect in this case.
Yeah.
And then there's other stuff that
there's
may
an
apply.
Interesting part about this card as well. So it's got a lost hand. So this will actually apply before this card even triggers. So if this comes out.
What it's referring to is
it's got a hit location as well. So this is when the people actually go to in our turn when we go and attack him. What we will do is we will go and try and hurt him.
Yeah, that's the other phase, isn't it? So these only trigger. These are basically
that's his phase.
Effects of injuries that the lion's already got. So some player may have damaged his hand. If they have in the previous phase, then this would apply to the whole lion's attack.
because this is a vicious claw attack. If somebody previously chopped his hand off, it's going to affect his vicious claw attack, and that's what that triggers first. So that's what the lion does. So he does his thing, and that's an AI card. Then you discard the AI card. Then you move into the player's phase.
So we come in here with this girl. She's going to attack him. Now let's say she hits the lion. Like you've got, depending on what weapon you are. So the weapon says you'll probably need a 6+
Yeah,
to
each
hit.
weapon has its own action.
So she'll roll a 6, and then there's a hit location there for the lion as well. So depending on how many hits you get out, so she gets 2 hits. So these 2 cards will come out. Okay. So then it's up to the players to decide which order they want to do it. Now, if you look here, this one's got the it's a strange hand. If you fail to wound him, the monster's going to attack you back. So he'll actually just treat with.
It's not always good hitting him.
No, exactly. That's if you fail to do it. And then but if you get a lantern, so there's always a lantern crit. Not always, sorry. On the lion, there pretty much is. So if you get a crit on him, then he's going to. There's more text.
Yeah. So if you roll the old lantern. That's a 10 basically.
It'll give you a reward. In this case, it'll give you a persistent injury, which means
lost hand.
It's the lost hand. So this is the
one.
one.
So that would.
If this had come out, then basically he won't attack, and people who are like well versed will get a bonus for that. So that's hand in hand. A lot of them will just give you resources and or make him worse.
Yeah.
His speed, his toughness.
What these cards are doing, which is really nice, and we don't always get to it because we sometimes rush through the battles a bit because we're always eager to try and survive to the next bit.
True.
They tell a story, right down to the blow by blow.
Oh, absolutely.
So here comes the monster. He's gone bloodthirsty. It's very very evocative, and then so he's done his bloodthirsty thing. I've whacked him in his in the beast's ribs, and I've cracked his ribs. I've done a critical wound, and that means that later on and you get this visual storytelling nature coming out of the cards of the battle, right down to the slow-mo, almost Matrix style battle actions going on. It's really good. I mean,
it's amazing.
It's they are like software coding cards. Very clear instructions of what to do, but it really tells a nice story as well.
When you're playing it, you really get a feeling of but you all want everyone to survive. But bad things can happen too. Once the monster gets through your armor,
it's horrible.
He can kill you, maim you. Like he could grab you, drag you away.
I've had mauled, severe wounded, crushed ribs. We've had lost limbs. It's horrific. It's like a Peckinpah movie. It's. There's blood flying everywhere, guts, teeth, everything, testes, the lot.
Yes, yeah. People will die in this game.
Blood, sweat, gravy, and egg going all over the place.
Don't get attached to a character.
No, because they die.
People die. People
turnover
die
of characters is big. Yeah.
And there's various ways on Board Game Geek that people will say, "Oh, here's the best thing you should do," and whatever. I mean, we've got our own theories about what's the best. But
it's a sign of a good game, isn't it? It's forcing you into your own theory, if you like, or approach to it. I mean, when we start a new campaign, we'll have this own little idea of how we're going to approach it and what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And no doubt the game will slap us in the face with a wet fish again.
It's
and finish us off.
It's a clever game because the battles, even though we're all unified and we all know what we're doing in the battle, when it comes out of the battle. It's everyone for themselves, and we all have a different idea.
The overall theme of the battles is you're either crushed utterly, and you're like, but it makes you almost angry to want to try it again and beat it.
It does.
If you manage to win, it's a big, real feeling of triumph that you've really beaten something big. So it's very much you're either a big downer or a big up. It's very extreme that way.
So when you actually beat the lion, or win or lose, in fact.
If you
the rule book will tell you the 2 situations.
You get some rewards.
It'll say you win it, you'll get 4 basic resources and 4 lion resources. So you'll get like 4 of these cards.
Which is fluffy enough. Bits of lion, yeah.
White fur and whatever. So they've all got these unique names. These will all come into play in the settlement phase when you're actually trying to build and craft weapons, because there's a big crafting phase. A lot of the time, if you lose, it's just like, you all died.
Tough luck, you're all dead.
You all died.
There is a mechanic for escaping a battle, but we've never had that. So basically, the only way if you lose a battle, you've lost 4 people.
Pictograms, yeah. No, we've never had it, but yeah. Okay, well, let's go on and talk about the settlement phase. We're assuming you were triumphant against this lion, or
we kicked his butt.
You've come back and you're all happy. You're going to be presented with this this sheet here.
It's like a timeline, isn't it?
It's a timeline. It's just the settlement phase. So it tells you in order 1 to 10. This is what you need to go through each one of these little points. So what will happen first is set up the settlement phase. Hey, here you go. So it's actually just
that's literally getting the stuff out.
get it out. It's just saying get all the stuff out that you're actually going to need for this phase. So you're not going to annoy yourself doing it. Survivors return. So this is the people who came back. So depending on how many of them there was, there might be 3 of them, there might be 4. But
generally 4 or 0, isn't it?
more often than not, the next point, game endeavours, is the amount of survivors that returned. So you do get 1 per survivor that returns. So if all 4 of them came back, but there is ways that your survivors can come back and get additional ones, or you might have a skill set that sort of says you get more. Endeavours is basically your money. So
it is, yeah.
This is your currency without to do an action within the within the camp.
It's the will, I suppose, in the fluff. It's the will to get anything done, to carry on and survive and develop stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, it's money basically in any other game.
It's money. Without it doesn't. It's not the same thing as resources, which is a different type of money.
So yeah, what we're pretending here is we came back from the lion fight with a load of bits of lion. These are depicted on these resource cards. The resource cards, you don't really retain those. You just note what you've got after this settlement phase, what you've got left over, and then these return to the decks.
So they go straight back into the.
So the decks are always the same.
You can have multiples of these things, but they'll be in the on the sheet
recorded abstractly.
The next number 4 is the draw the settlement event.
This is a big scary.
This is a big one. Okay. Well, the first day is actually a nice one because
so that's preset, isn't it, when you first return?
The very first game you play, you have to play this one that basically says you get this many people. Without spoiling anything, but like a lot of these are going to be charts and select someone who's got the most experience. Sometimes they really force you into selecting people you don't want to select.
Well, yeah, I think it's basically like select your best character. This character may do this, or this happens to them.
They probably die,
whether you like it or not, or they might become super boosted.
In our experience, they roll a 1.
Oh yeah, we had some bad times out of the settlement deck.
Next, update the death count. So it's interesting here because the returning survivors, and by the time that you go through this settlement event, the death count can be completely different.
The death count's in exactly the right place, you can lose people in step 4 there. So
step 4 is a scary part.
So on your record sheet of the settlement, you've got a little colour in a box for everybody who died. And it's a general mechanic of the game. You colour in boxes as you go along, XP, all sorts of things. When you reach, and you won't be able to see this, but when you reach a bold black square, when you fill that square in, it triggers something, usually a story event. So it might be when the first person dies, you colour in the first box there on the death count, which is a big black bold box. That means that you need to go and trigger a story event. Principal death is
and this one is it's a very early one and you're always going to get it, but it's literally how do you handle people dying?
How does the settlement approach
death? So then you're given 2 choices, and as a group you have to decide, are we going to be all nice and have graves, or are we going to start cannibalizing people? Like is that food, or is it
are we civilized or savages?
So but this happens all the way through the game. We've got children, how do we feel about that? Do we want them to be strong?
Nurture them lovingly, or do we throw them in the woods to survive so they're tougher and all that sort of thing?
It's a brutal game in that respect. The next up, we get the update the timeline. So the timeline here is this part here. And
the years that go by.
A lot of them will have something that'll happen. So when you get to a story event, then you actually have to read out the story or do it. A lot of these can be surprise encounters, or a nemesis might fight you in your settlement, which is very annoying. They come in and basically ravage everything. Then the next part is develop. So develop means you get to spend these endeavours. You have all these little stars, and you basically get to grow your settlement, get more of these. So
these are basically shops. Like there's the organ grinder. So if you've collected bits of organs from monsters, you can do stuff with them. and you can also roll on a chart down here if you spend an endeavour. The Skinnery, similar, you know, they've all got stuff you can make,
And then
equipment cards you can build if
so
you've got
here's
the
all the
resources.
equipment. So the resources here are all mentioned here. So to make a lucky charm, you need 1 organ. And then so if you spend that 1 organ, then you get a lucky charm, and a lucky charm is one of your equipment.
Yeah.
This game has a lot of admin in it. There's a lot of
Yeah,
writing down.
Yeah, there is, but
minutes.
this sheet's pretty good for that. You do need a bit. As the games go on, if you make it past about year 5, 6, you probably need a separate piece of paper to keep track of all the bits and pieces. You know, like we've got 3 white furs, 4 organs, 17 monster bones, and you know a founder's stone, and all this, that, and the other. Because you're not keeping the cards as such. It needs to be written down somewhere. Very carefully, otherwise you're kind of cheating yourself, aren't you?
One of the big things you can develop here is an innovation as well. So once a phase you can actually innovate, which means you draw 2 of these cards and you're literally going to be, oh, we get a choice. Do we want a war room or do we want a crimson candy? And then you read through them, and then as a group you have to decide. You're going to get one of them. These are all beneficial to a degree. Some of them are quite random and quite
situational or odd.
a lot of them, I mean, we're actually quite like, no, don't do that, because it's quite a heavy toll if you roll on the chart on a 1.
Well, this phase is where all the debates come in, you know. Shall we build another pair of leather pants? No, I want that bow.
Yes.
No, I need the sword, you know. No, give me the skull.
You
blah,
get
blah,
so
blah.
many resources, and it only goes so far. It's a great phase and a really kind of exciting way to build up your characters.
Yeah.
And
we'll innovate in this phase, and there'll be 2 choices. No, we need to do this. No, let's do that. You know, massive debate, shall we say, depending on your group.
I think ultimately it's quite friendly though.
It is without
You've got one common goal, and that's to survive as long as possible.
Yeah.
The next thing is prepare departing survivors. So that means that you're going to actually create your grids. And this person's gonna
Equipment
go
can be freely swapped around between characters in this phase.
But it becomes locked as soon as you leave.
It does, and departing survivors, it doesn't have to be the same 4 guys or 3 guys or whatever who were on the previous hunt. You can draw new characters out of the settlement's population. So you might have, to start with, you'll have 4 named characters, you know, Jeff, Bob, Sue and Pete. But you might have 11 other guys who are hanging around in the settlement who are unnamed.
Nameless faces, yeah.
Yeah, the nameless faces.
The extras in
the red shirt guys.
In Lost.
That's it. But you can promote one of those to guest star, and then later full cast member, and bring him in. Especially if you don't want Pete to go out because he's now got an awesome skill that's very useful in the settlement phase.
Yeah, sometimes.
And you don't want to risk.
Sometimes you do that, and you feel like you want someone to survive.
It may be that Pete or Jeff or whoever, suffered such a hideous trauma in the last hunt that he has to skip the next phase. That's something that can happen to characters. Skip the next hunt, I should say. So he has to sit around for a year recovering.
So the next phase is record and archive your resources. So this is what we were saying earlier, that these cards, you don't just hold on to them the whole game. It's literally like, right, there's a cat's eye.
Write it down, put it back in the deck.
Put it in the deck. So you can actually have 2 cat's eyes even though there's only 1 card.
Yeah.
Although this can be limited when you're actually out hunting. Like sometimes it's like, get a cat's eye resource. You can only ever get 1 of these cat's eye resources as long as there's only 1, there's 1 in your hand.
Yeah, that's it.
Until it's archived. And then end the settlement phase is the very last thing. So this is literally, it's telling you, put this away. Basically 1 and 10 are moot points because, I mean,
but especially when you're first playing, I've found it useful, to go through these step by step.
It's tidy.
Yeah, concentrate on the bit you're doing, otherwise you'll miss something vital, and it'll be even harder for you to survive. And then basically, you've got your departed survivors. You pick your next quarry, which early on in the game is probably another lion.
Another lion, yeah.
And then off you go on the next hunt.
Right, let's talk about the hunting phase. The hunt phase is pretty straightforward, to be honest. All your characters start there. You're trying to get your monster wherever he is, depending on his level. So a level 3 white lion, for instance, will start all the way over there. Now it'll start there.
Yeah, that's shown on. So each monster's got a page of info. There's a little track showing you how to set up the hunt on this track.
So in this case, what you're going to be doing is you start off and you nominate a character who's going to go first. All right, great, and then you just go around. So that you'll go into the first event. All right, I'll go there, and then you'll read what's going to happen. So this scratching ground, it tells you it's claw marks on the ground. The survivors may choose to investigate. Each survivor that investigates roll +1 courage and rolls on the table. So basically everyone can nominate, yes, I'm in, or no, I'm in.
Yeah.
So then there's a series of events that'll happen between 1 to 10. 1 being, probably you got smashed up and fell down a cliff.
Yeah,
10
something
being,
terrible happened.
10 being, whoa, I found something brilliant, So that's the general rule of the game is that happens.
It's a gamble, isn't it, usually?
The next thing is if no one investigates, you roll a random hunt event. So there's a big hunt event table in this as well.
There is in this book somewhere, yeah.
So that's a D100, so you've got your 2 dice, so the whites basically are 10s.
Oh, there we go, yeah. So
You got 10s and 20s, so that's 47. So you look through that, you find 47 and read it. In my opinion, all of the hunt events are terrible. It seems like everything is like...
When he says terrible, he means vicious.
Yeah, something, you lose armor and this happens. Very little good stuff happens from this, really. The hunt is actually kind of a hard phase where minor things can go wrong. You get disorders, you get, knocked out and you have to do this, whatever. It just, in my opinion...
It's a dangerous land to walk through, basically.
It's not nice,
thing.
yeah.
The wasps are deadly, the trees are deadly.
So you're going to go through this and then you go through the next event as well.
And
so
some events will make the lion sort of dash off a bit.
Yes.
And
suddenly, you should be setting up the board properly, but that'll all be there. So you're going to be traveling along, trying to find the lion. Some of them actually make him go
Jump
towards
at you,
you,
yeah.
which means that he gets
The ambush,
the
yeah.
ambush rule. So he gets to move first twice, which is really, really vicious in the showdown. Then there's a hunt event, so you go there, and then eventually you actually go onto his square. If you go onto his square, you initiate the actual fight, which means that you deploy and set up the same
Get the
way
board out, yeah. Set up the showdown.
The showdown. So what this is it's just a way to get resources and change up the game. Some of these events are so bad that they will cause you all to lose the game.
Yeah.
No problem. But there's various other things that can happen. You can go to the story event that'll happen there. Overwhelming darkness. Something will happen there depending on if your guys are crazy or not.
There's everybody's an insanity level.
Yes, because this world is so dark and horrible. Insanity is quite a big thing.
Yeah.
So
it can help you. It helps you be crazy. Yeah.
Insanity is kind of a good thing until you get to a point, and then it might messing you up, and you might start hitting people and whatever.
Yeah.
But
or just wandering off into the darkness, never to be seen again.
Yeah. Wouldn't. I'm not surprised, to be honest. So that's pretty much the hunt phase. Like you can see, this is the easiest phase really to do in terms of the way the game progresses.
Yeah.
And that concludes Kingdom Death. It's a fantastic game, which I don't think we even needed to really say. Like, this game blew us away.
It is. It's unique, I'd say. I've played loads of board games, but this is... some of it happens on a board. That's the only thing in common it's got with most of the board games. It's incredibly tough. Really unique artwork and style. I mean, I've had a genuine nightmare about one of the monsters in this. We played late with our group, and I went home and went straight to bed, and sort of I had this massive hallucinogenic nightmare about the screaming antelope, which I'm still not quite over, And plus 40 plus years of age, that's just it's a weird thing to happen.
After every game,
it really gets to your psyche.
Something similar to you, I'd say. After every game of this we play, I have to say I go to bed and I think about it and I reanalyze and I relive what's just happened.
I'm just like, oh, it's so scary.
I talk to Lindsay about it, and Lindsay just sometimes says to me, it's not real, yeah? And I'm kind of like, well, it did happen. I'm like, I was there and it did happen, but
of course it's real.
I have to say the camaraderie of how you feel, because you're experiencing with another 3 people, it is like you're playing.
There's got some laughs, isn't there, as well?
It's like you're playing a dungeon, you're playing against a DM, but you're all on the same team, and you really are. And it just feels like when you make some of these dice rolls and you don't make it, and you roll that 1. You're dreading it because someone else is reading the card and you know that they're going to say something bad to you, and all you're thinking is don't kill me, and you don't know what's going to happen, and that's the exciting part.
I've seen his face fall to the floor, because he's rolled a 1 on a settlement event or something, and I'm like, and I'm the one reading the card, and I'm like,
Yeah. No, it's
Sorry, Si, your guy has exploded in a shower of blood, or
there's something about this. It's,
walked off into the woods or whatever, never to be seen again. Blah blah blah.
there's a lot to be said in this game as well. It's a bit of a gambler's dream game. There's a lot of this. You can go in, you can hit hard, and sometimes when you actually try and pull off a plan and it works, it's very exciting.
Yeah.
It's too exciting, and it's hard to explain it. Is this game worth £200? I would say easily.
Yeah. If, it depends how easy £200 is to get together for anybody.
That's true. That's true.
It's you get a lot of stuff. You would get months and months out of it. Be warned, it does kind of smack your face into the wall quite often. You'll think you're doing well, and then an unlucky roll can really tilt. Yeah. Everything on a downward curve that's hard to recover from.
Our third campaign,
difficulty level is maximum.
Our third campaign, we thought we were sky high. I think year 5, great. We got.
And then we had a couple of catastrophes, didn't
population.
we? Yeah. That was it. It was done.
2 years later, all dead.
Yeah. It's but it's kind of like the game just says to you. It's almost like, so what you're going to do about it. It's just get over it and just keep fighting on and on and on.
Try again and roll better.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it does not mollycoddle you at all. But it's a really good game.
Yeah, I'd recommend it to anyone who likes. Basically, it's kind of got a very structured. Turn-based kind of tactics kind of combat.
Yeah.
If you like your kind of story events and things to be random and whatever, it's really good for that. I wouldn't recommend it to people who can't deal with a lot of micromanagement, because there's a lot.
Yeah, you need one guy who doesn't mind being the little scribe.
There's a lot of take the minutes down. Like every game we're playing, it's always like, right, Dave, you're in charge of this. Here's your rule book to do this. You're doing this. Yeah. So everyone's got like a pad and an activity of things to do. So
packet of pencils is a must. Retractable pencils.
Yeah. So do take it as it's an exercise. This is not a casual game. Far from it. This is as far from a casual game as you can possibly get.
Yeah, and that's one thing we haven't covered. Size. There's tons of models you get with it. There's loads of expansions and size. You've spent your life building and painting these models last few months, haven't you?
Oh yeah. So
I think they sell it as a hobby rather than a game, don't they? And it's pretty much. Yeah. You've got to put hours and hours into the models.
Oh, they're beautiful though. The models, when you actually get them correct and stuff, they're kind of frustrating at the same time. They're again, the models are not for beginners, which is a shame, because some of them are just so complex and the way they fit together. You feel like you need to cheat, but when you get it right and when they're actually sitting perfect, they're very, very nice.
Really quality, but very complicated resin kits, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, even the starter kits or whatever. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed our overview of what is Kingdom Death, because this is one video that we really wanted to put together to just tell you if you were contemplating a game, weren't really sure.
Yeah. What are you getting into?
Yeah. Let us know if you get it and what you thought. Anyway, cheers, guys.
Cheerio.
We're going to talk about a game that we both are absolutely in love with. It's Kingdom Death by who is it by?
Some guy with a funny internet name.
Oh yeah,
Doxo.
No,
Doxo.
Fuck, what's his name? Poots.
Poots.
Adam Poots.